Liberals use their majority power to take control of parliamentary committees, and already they've used that power 4 times to turn off the cameras, preventing MPs from debating in public.
Committee, I'd like to move a motion to move the committee in camera.
I'm going to suspend while we change over to in-camera. Meeting is suspended.
With that, I move to have the meeting in camera.
I would like to suggest that we move in camera.
This is debate, and the motion is not debatable.
Over 2 weeks ago, the Liberals secured a majority, and as predicted, it didn't take long for them to take advantage of it. On Monday, they passed a motion restructuring all committees, and although they reassured us that they would not abuse that power, they've already shut down camera recordings in 4 different occasions, and that without a debate. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Lagan, and like every Sunday, I am joined by Payman Askari. Hey, man.
How's it going? I hope you're doing better than I am with what's going on.
It's predictable. For the people out there that did not see it coming, you will understand today what's actually going on. But that was predictable. That was not hard to see. I've said it from the get-go ever since Carney was selected to replace Justin Trudeau. I said it. He will be here to finish what Trudeau started and turn Canada into the communist country of China. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. And as you're going to see today, all parties seems to be aboard with the mission. We'll start from the beginning. On April 14th, Mark Carney secured a majority government. On April 27th, the Liberals passed a motion restructuring all House committees, going from 4 Liberals, 4 Conservatives, and 1 Bloc to 7 Liberals, 4 Conservatives, and 1 Bloc. And House Leader Steve MacKinnon reassured us, or reassured the press, that they would still be working with other parties. Listen to this.
Parliament is to slow things down, to examine legislation, to hold the government to account, and you're going to speed things through committee. You're going to push them through committee now.
Well, that's an assumption on your part. I just finished saying that the Prime Minister expects us to work with opposition parties. The Prime Minister expects us to gather evidence, to hear witnesses, to hold public hearings, to work collaboratively with other parties and with Canadians as we take on the major challenges of our time.
Remember what he just said there, that he would be working with other parties, he would be working for Canadians, because it sounds great on camera. It sounds great when an actual reporter is asking you and calling him out. He actually was calling him out, saying that they were taking over power, that they were trying to fast track everything through committee by taking control of the committees. But no. This is not what he was trying to do. Of course not. Why would they ever want to do such a thing? This video I just showed you, that was last week. That was this week. We're Sunday. Technically, we're still part of last week. So that video's from Monday. So it hasn't taken long for them to do the following. Listen, this, keep in mind, guys, this is a video from CBC, of all places. This is CBC reporting on this. Reporting's a big word.
Following a barrage of criticism, the government House leader says the Liberals want to keep committees transparent and open.
I accept that the burden of the government is to ensure that this work remains virtually entirely done in public.
Earlier this week, after passing a motion to get majority control of parliamentary committees, Liberal MPs started moving to make some public proceedings private.
I'd like to move a motion to move the committee in camera. I move to have the meeting in camera.
I would like to suggest that we move in camera.
At several committees, the Liberals moved to shut off the cameras, avoiding public debate on things like hundreds of millions of dollars in public spending and government accountability.
This move to in-camera is completely undemocratic.
The Conservative House leader says the Liberals are flexing their majority, earned partially through floor crossers.
So it's extremely disappointing. And it's an abuse of power. It's not just an abuse of power, it's an abuse of power that was not granted to the Prime Minister at the ballot box.
It is a classic move that a new majority government makes, feeling emboldened and feeling that, okay, now we can run things our way.
This former chief of staff cautions the government from adopting this strategy long term.
I think it was way too much too soon, and it was absolutely the wrong signal to send on behalf of Prime Minister Carney, who is suggesting and is showing in certain ways a different style of politics.
The Liberals say they're still making adjustments as a new majority government, but Stephen MacKinnon says opposition has a role to play too.
If everything they do as they march into committee meetings every day is dilatory and seeks to impede or obstruct, well, then that is going to provoke a counter reaction.
So Stephen MacKinnon, the House leader, is telling us that the job of the Conservatives is not to oppose them. That's basically what he just said. That if they do oppose them through House, they will have consequences. That is basically what he just said. Yet the actual role of the opposition party is to question what the government is doing. The whole point of the House committees is to question the legislation that's being pushed through. This is the whole point. And by the way, she mentioned that several committees have been turned into in-camera. She meant four over the span of 4 days went in camera. And if you don't understand what in camera means, I understand, because it makes no sense. In camera simply means that the discussions are going private, that participants are forbidden from disclosing the details, often under parliamentary privilege. No public records of the meeting are either broadcasted, or transcripts are neither available to regular public. Yet Stephen MacKinnon told us that he would still be doing the right thing for Canadians. And listen to this. If you want to know how ironic this whole thing is, the 4 meetings that went to in camera, the first one was about ethics, formerly known as the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy and Ethics. This meeting went in camera following a Conservative motion requiring regular updates on the Prime Minister ethics screen. Then the second one was about Health Standing Committee on a probe into PrescribeIT, which the Liberal government spent over $300 million of taxpayers' money on a program that was just shut down on April 29th, 2026, after low adoption rates under 5%, failing to effectively replace fax machines. In 2026, the federal government is having issues replacing fax machines in the healthcare system. The third committee that went in camera was Science and Research, where the opposition members were attempting to debate a motion to investigate a $200 million federal agreement concerning spaceport in Nova Scotia. Have you heard about this? Look at this. This is, if you don't know about this, you're not going to laugh because it ain't funny. But $200 million under a liberal federal government buys you this. This is what $200 million has bought us. That is a spaceport, literally a slab of cement in the middle of nowhere. Canada pledges $200 million to spaceport that is just a concrete pad in Nova Scotia. This is mainstream media reporting on this. Site consisting of a gravel road, 2 sea cans, and a concrete pad to be rented to the federal government for $50,000 per day for the next 10 years. And the fourth committee that they went in camera was on transport. The Standing Committee on Transport, Infrastructure and Communities moved into a closed session, my apologies, after adjourning a public debate on a motion to produce documents related to the Port of Montreal expansion. So they're hiding the discussion when it comes to access to information, privacy, and ethics. They are preventing the public of hearing about the probe on PrescribeIT, where the government spent over $300 million on a failed program, and they don't want us to know why the government is going to pay $200 million over the next 10 years for a slab of cement in the middle of Nova Scotia. This is funny to a point where, you know, in French we say rire jaune, yellow laughter. It's an expression that means it ain't funny at all, but you don't know what else to do than to laugh about it. Because there's nothing else to do, right? What am I supposed to do? $500 million in the span of a week after being told they passed the motion on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They shut the cameras on 4 committees, all on committees that had active probes into it, and $500 million of our taxpayers' money was spent on cement slab and a 5% acceptance rate of replacing fax machines in the healthcare system. $500 million. And, you know, I'm ashamed to say that this is not the only thing that happened this week, because the Liberals had a very, very busy week, and it gets worse. Listen to what Mark Miller, our heritage minister, had to say.
Things and matters that are distributed over the internet, it's clear that is a role played by the federal government when it comes to regulation of social media. Again, a jurisdiction that is assumed by the federal government, whether we're talking about moratoriums or the proper regulation of egregious online harms, and that's stuff that we're frankly a couple years behind in regulating, as we see other jurisdictions like Australia, like Britain, like France taking action. So we need to take action as well.
Mark Miller just told us that the government is responsible for censoring the internet, and they have not been doing a good job because they're a few years behind Australia, the UK, and France. Unless you've been sleeping under a rock, you know that the UK gets 13,000 or more arrests every year for social media posts because they hurt people's feelings. France has been invaded through mass immigration, just like the UK. And Australia just passed social media bans, and they have police agencies investigating people for hate crime online. That is who Mark Miller is telling us that we're behind. But you know, I want to say that I wish I didn't have to talk about this, because this just shows how idiotic this country has become. Our country's economy is crumbling. The Liberals are turning the country that I love into a surveillance state. The Conservative leader is open to social media bans, and the so-called conservative content creators don't have the balls to ask the man who's supposed to be doing the right thing for Canadians questions about the real problems we face every day. I apologize. I really apologize for this video. I'm just trying to make a point. I really, really apologize for this one. I know this is going to be bad. And again, I apologize. But here is the type of interview that you can expect to see from so-called conservative independent journalists, and none other than Pierre Poilievre.
First time asking these questions, so let's give it a go. Best advice you'd give your kids?
Listen to your mom.
Favorite cartoon as a kid?
I would say, like my son, is Spider-Man.
Last time you went on a date with Anna?
The last time we went on a date, every night is a date.
I'm gonna stop it right there. I do not need. I do not want to put you guys through this, but this goes on and on and on. And when I saw this morning, I'm like, while our country's getting destroyed in front of our eyes and our country's getting turned into a surveillance state, these are the questions you ask the leader of the so-called Conservative Party. What a fucking joke.
Let me
but this is the reality, man. It's you know, you sent me something earlier that hold on. You know what? No, I can't. I'm gonna get in trouble. Last time I played videos like this, they banned the stream because I don't have the copyrights for it. But it was basically payment. When I sent him the ideas that I wanted to talk about today, he sent me a video of Star Wars with the Song of the Empire. Dam, 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 da, dam, dam, da, dam.
Yeah, that was Anakin storming the Jedi Temple. I think it's fitting since Carney has stormed this country. I get angry when I see Mark Miller, obviously that shill, Mario Zelaya, whatever his name is. But let's try to answer, why is this happening? In the 60s, Canadians, they had the family unit. They were Christian. They were sovereign. And then 68, Pierre Trudeau comes in. The people, they shuffle off the land into the cities. They're getting taxed on their labor. And they entered into an agreement with the state. They said, listen, you can do whatever you want. We'll hand the reins of government over to you. Democracy be damned. Just make sure the lights are on. The liquor is flowing and the roads are paved. And with that, I think we built up this activist base, these people that essentially hijacked the country. Then 2015, Jared Butts comes along and he goes to Trudeau and he says, why don't we just buy out the media? Like, let's just stop pretending like we need the media. They bought out the CBC, they're putting out the propaganda. And what we're seeing right now with Carney, I think it's the next stage of that. And these CBC reporters that you're alluding to, that you say are doing their job for a change, I think they finally realize, they're looking in the mirror and they don't like what they see. They won't admit it. They won't admit that they're the cause of where we are right now. We're here because of them, but they just don't like it. And that's why all of a sudden CBC is doing a better job than independent media like Mario Zelaya.
I want to make sure we understand each other. I never said they were doing their job. I was just saying that they were reporting for once on something better than most journalists or independent journalists, because I invite the people, because this is something those are some of the comments that I get all the time. There's still a lot of listeners that are defending the Conservative Party, that are defending the Mario Zelaya, the Jasmine Lanes, the Mark Nixon of this world. And I don't understand why. Why is it so hard for you guys to understand that they don't care? Our country is literally getting destroyed. Literally, our country is, our economy is getting destroyed. We are seeing bills, surveillance and censorship bills, C2, C8, C9, C12, C16, C22, C25. We're talking about social media bans. We have a current gun grab. Our heritage ministers telling us that we're behind Australia, France, and the UK. Yet the leader of the opposition is more concerned about not speaking ill of the prime minister that is continuing the destruction of our country and making dumb interviews like we just saw with one of the biggest conservative shills in Canada, instead of addressing the real problem. And unless you were again sleeping under a rock, this week Pierre Poilievre also said that he was open to the idea of discussing social media bans. and he was happy that Wab Kinew, the premier of Manitoba, brought it up. This is insanity. We have a conservative leader that is open to social media bans, which means a digital ID. You have David MacKenzie, my apologies, conservative MP 2 weeks ago that was requesting the Liberals to protect our children online. And the best thing that they can do is ask for a tax relief on gas and do dumb interviews like we just saw there. And yet, you look at the comments, man, it's insane. The comments on that video are worse or almost as bad as the interview. It is literally all good. Oh, yes! Exclamation point. And you're talking, this is somebody, I know this girl. She has 65.2 thousand followers just on Instagram. And she's applauding this interview that sounded like a 12-year-old interviewing his parents for a school project. This is what that interview was, and this is great work? Are you kidding me? Like, are you absolutely kidding me that this is the type of work that our so-called journalists / conservative content creators are putting out there? That's the type of work that's going to change Canada. That's going to bring back the Canada we grew up in. That's going to turn this country on a better trajectory. Yet they're still there acting like everything is okay. I don't see a difference. Do you see a difference between what the Liberals are selling and what the Conservatives are selling? I don't, because I don't. I really don't.
You know, I always try to make, you got to rationalize it. Otherwise, it's as if Pierre Poilievre's on drugs. I don't know if anyone's run a company. You hire a CEO and you hire a marketing team and you hire a development team, and all three of them, they mess up. You're like $300,000 into the hole, and you don't want to admit to yourself that you've made a mistake. You've surrounded yourself with these incompetent people, because then you got to throw more money at the problem. Maybe the Conservative Party is like that. Like, they've listened to all these political strategists that told them you got to cater to the Indian community over here or the Khalistani community over there, and now they're in a hole. And Pierre Poilievre wants to dig himself out of that hole. He might have to take a medium-term hit in that he'll never be a prime minister. They might lose a couple of seats. I don't think they have it in them to do that. I think they're scared. They're thinking, well, the country's left of center, and let's just drift left, and maybe we'll pick up some seats.
And this is where you and I disagree, because you will play the devil's advocate on this one, as in there is ignorance or a lack of testicle involved, which for the longest time, that was my biggest concern with Pierre Poilievre, was the fact that he didn't have the balls to say anything that was worth saying. But the more he continues doing what he's doing, although he's getting more exposure, like he went on the Joe Rogan podcast and he preferred talking about MMA, a sport that he has no idea about. That dude has never punched anything in his life. Yet they spend time talking about MMA instead of addressing the real problems that Canadians are facing. He had the biggest platform, arguably, in the world, with a guy that will actually go there with you. That dude will not censor you at all. Joe Rogan, you can talk about whatever you want. He will be happy to address it. Yet he did not have I don't even want to say that he didn't have the audacity. He did it on purpose. He did not want to talk about this. So the conversation should be, is he doing it because it hurts his numbers? Or is he doing it because he's playing the role that he was selected to play, which is provide the illusion of choice for the masses? Nothing more than theaters, nothing more than bread and circuses for the commoners. And he continues to sell us the idea. And unfortunately, for a vast majority of Canadians that do not believe in the Liberals, they seek refuge in the Conservative Party, not understanding that they're not conservatives. They don't have any type of conservative values whatsoever. And they are not doing what's best in the interest of Canadians.
If you want my opinion, I think Pierre Poilievre is a loser. He's not qualified for the task at hand. What you need is somebody charismatic and ballsy, as you said, who has testicular fortitude that can lead an army. Like, you need an army of citizens, and you just need to unleash them to go after every one of these conservationist activists who are increasing the building codes, all this regulatory state. You need to go after all the LGBTQ nonsense. You need to go after all the money printing, the deficit spending. He doesn't have it in him to do that. His wife might be able to do that. She seems charismatic. She seems tough, but he doesn't have the stones. They put him in because he's a weak, spineless loser that'll cash his paycheck.
That's the question, right? Is it really a lack of stones, or is he just playing the role he was given? Because he has the best job in Canada when it comes to politicians. He makes $300,000+ a year doing nothing, literally asking questions and trying to recreate the Apple moment that he had years ago. He's been trying to recreate that moment ever since it happened. And even in this interview I just played, like the 20 seconds I played, he was trying to be the cool dude. And the Conservatives are falling for it. They're calling Pierre Poilievre a man of the people, a man that's never held a job in the private sector, that's been working as a politician for over 20 years. This is a man of the people. Do you consider, this is a question for you guys out there. Do you consider a government worker a person of the people, a man of the people, or a woman of the people? Somebody that works. Imagine a government worker that's been working at the government for 20 years. Would you consider that person a man of the people? Fair question, right? Yet, that's exactly what Pierre Poilievre is. He's been working for the government for over 20 years, and people call him a man of the people.
People are crazy. I don't know why they do that. It might be because of what I said. Since '68, they handed the reins over to the government. And you have this activist class that's slowly grown the government. And it really took off in 2015. They've hijacked the government. Now, private business, building something with your hands. I don't care if you have a lawnmower and you just go around mowing people's lawns. The government hates that. The government wants you working for them, not working on your own.
Man, I just wonder what it's going to take for the average Canadian. Actually, I know what it's going to take. It's going to need to hurt more in order for the average Canadian to realize what's actually going on. It's going to have to hurt more. There's no other way around, unfortunately. But that's why we're here. At the end of the day, that's exactly why I do what I do, because as bad as it may seem, it's not too late for Canada. But it is time for people like the people that are in the comment section right now, the people that understand what's going on, to wake up others. Because clearly our mainstream media is not going to do it. Clearly our independent journalists, our so-called conservative independent journalists, are not going to be doing it either. So it's up to you guys to have the hard conversations, just like the ones we're just about to start, and to talk to your circle of influence, your friends, your family, your co-workers. You just need to be ready to tell the truth, no matter the consequences of those conversations. Because the way we change Canada is one conversation at a time. It sucks that that's where we're at, but that's the only way forward. It's going to get worse, but we need to start questioning people's beliefs that we care about now, because soon they will realize what's going on and we need to have answers for them. So until we get to your comments, I want to say that this show has two reasons. to explain what's going on and to enable the hard conversations that we are told to avoid. Because unfortunately, the average Canadian is still asleep and they believe the social media lies and our politicians' left versus right narrative. But it's not too late. But that's where you guys come in. This show is 100% funded by you, the listeners. There's no corporate, government, or political money, just you. So if you believe in educating your fellow Canadian, if you believe in what we're trying to accomplish here, become a monthly donor or consider a one-time donation. Go to thepoliticalorphans.com/show and let's build the real news alternative that Canadians deserve. That being said, I'm very excited about this because starting now, the Orphans hotline is live. You can now call in and we can have a voice-to-voice conversation. All you have to do, I'm going to copy that in the comments. All you have to do is to go to callme.rode.com and enter the code SFLXJY. I just posted the link and the code in the comment section. This will call the device that is right next to me right now. And I will be able to patch you through and you can have a conversation with us. Tell us how you feel about the committees, about the Liberals taking over committees, how you feel about the lack of opposition that we have in Canada, what you feel about Mark Miller's comments that were behind France, the UK, and Australia when it comes to internet censorship. How do you feel about our independent journalists, so-called independent journalists, not doing their job, reporting on this less than CBC is? That's pretty sad to say. That is pretty sad to say. So guys, go to the app. It's not even an app. It's just in your browser. Callme.rode.com. Put the code SFLXJY and call us up. I'm looking forward to this. I've been wanting to do this for a long, long time. Until we get a call, do you have comments you want us to take?
Yeah, there's a lot in here. One, I'm assuming you start this. Johnny Breaks says, I don't work with you. You work for me, madam. I think he's talking about the government.
100%. Oh, yeah, 100%. He's talking about politicians right there. 100%. Couldn't agree with you more, man.
We got another one from Kay Thompson. I want you to comment on this. He says, liberals equal communism. What's your view on this? Because you usually say the left-right thing it's a misleading thing.
Well, when I say the left versus right is a lie, I mean it in the way of political parties. If you talk about political systems, it's a different thing. There is a massive difference between left-leaning policies and right-leaning policies. Unless they're extreme left and extreme right, then you have to consider the horseshoe theory that fascism and communism have a lot in common when they meet at the bottom of the extremes. But it is true that the liberals are implementing policies that are normally seen at the beginning of a communist movement. If you start, the first step is always, any Marxist movement will always start with disconnecting the population from God, which happened in Canada, as you mentioned earlier, in the 60s and the 70s. Then they replace God by the government. Then they remove the men from the family unit. And then the main consequences is that men don't know what a woman is. So for the people out there that believes that trans are normal, that they've always happened throughout history, they're not wrong. They're absolutely correct. The part they don't tell you is that trans individuals start happening at the decline of a society, when the society is so confused that they believe that women can have penises and men can be pregnant. And this is what we see today.
Oh, well put. We got another comment from Trevor Benson. He's speaking of politicians. Those puppets don't run anything. The ones in charge we never see on camera.
Couldn't agree with you more. Could not agree with you more. Although I would argue, in the case of Mark Carney, he is one of the people that were behind the scene for a very long time. Because he was part of the WEF, like he was on the board of trustees of the WEF when the 2050 net zero agenda was presented to their members. He was part of the UN as their special envoy on climate change. So he is somebody that has been, he was at the head of the Bank of England. So he is someone that has been behind the scenes for a very long time. And now he's in front of the camera, which should be very indicative of people, we should pay attention to what that actually means, because guys like him normally stay behind the scene, like Trevor Benson is saying. But to have a guy like him, he's not an idiot. He's not a puppet the way Trudeau was a puppet. This guy is actually very smart. It's evil how smart his smarts are based on evil. They're not good. They're very, very bad. But we cannot underestimate him thinking that he's stupid, because he is not. Trudeau was, which we all agreed. I think pretty much anybody will agree that he was just a dumb puppet. But guys like Carney are not. And the fact that they are coming from behind the scenes and exposing themselves just show you how confident they've become in implementing the last stages of their plans.
That's interesting you say that. It leads into another question from Trevor Benson, or comment. I'm telling you, Trudeau bankrupted the country. The banker is only here to liquidate our assets.
This is, there's a few things, right? If you look, I agree with Trevor Benson 100%, because we have the third largest oil reserve in the world. We literally should be rich like Saudi Arabia. We have the #1 hydroelectricity production in the world. We have all the minerals we need. We have all the trees that we need for lumber. We have access to 2 oceans on top of the north. We literally control the access between China and Europe. It is ours. We control it. We could put a stop to Chinese exports if we wanted to. I'm not saying we should. All I'm saying is that we could. Yet, here we are saying that we do not need to trade with the #1 economy in the world, that we just so happen to share the biggest line of, it is the biggest connection between 2 countries in the world. There's no such thing as a bigger frontière, as we say in French. I don't know why I'm drawing a fucking blank on such an easy word, but we have the biggest border in the world with the #1 economy, and our leader is telling us that we need to move away from them, that they're dangerous to our economy, and we need to go somewhere else. It's nonsensical, absolutely nonsensical. So you cannot believe that this is not what we call managed decline, that it's not done on purpose, that it's not done with a very serious end of line solution, which is, as Trevor said, it is to bankrupt our country so that they can liquidate our assets for pennies on the dollars. But in order to continue doing that, they need to replace the Canadians that remember what Canada was, what Canada could be, by people coming from a third world country that will not care about Canada and will see Canada as a cash cow, just like they do, just like our government does. If you don't believe that the replacement, we have to stop calling it the replacement theory, because it is not a theory. It is happening as we speak. Our population grew 33% in the span of 25 years. We went from 31 million to 30 million to 41 million over the past 25 years. And if we continue that trajectory, we are talking about reaching the Century Initiative plan to reach 100 million in population by the end of this century. So if you look everywhere and you understand what's going on, you read the bills, you look at what they're talking about in the House of Commons, you look at what mainstream media will not touch, you look at the so-called independent journalists, what they will and will not talk about, and you start really putting the numbers together, you realize that everything that's been happening since the 60s, ever since you mentioned earlier, has all been planned. And for the average individual, it is extremely hard to understand, because we're so used to instant gratification that we cannot imagine running one plan over the span of 60, 80, 100 years. It's so foreign to us that it makes no sense. But when you understand that those guys are just playing their part as part of a bigger plan that's been going on for hundreds of years already, it's very easy to see that everything is connected. But it's a big pill to swallow. That red pill sucks, because the black pill comes not too long after that one. So waking up sucks. It always reminds me of the Matrix. You know, the bad guy that was part of Morpheus' crew that wants to go back to the Matrix because he knows the reality and he just does not want to deal with it? This is what the black pill gives you.
I think his name was Cyrus.
Oh, good memory. Bang, bang. That is exactly the man right there.
Answers in the comments if I'm completely wrong. Can you address Stone's Corner? Heard you mention the code to call in, but being on Rumble, I do not see that code.
Yeah, the code. So if you want to call in, because I haven't had anybody yet, and I want to test this out, because there's not really a way for me to test it unless we're live. So the link is callme.road. So CALLME, callme.road, RODE.com. And then you enter, it's going to ask you for a code. The code is S as in Sam, F as in Frank, L as in Larry, X, J as in J, and Y. But if you see at the bottom of the screen, there's like right now, as we're going right now, it says drop your comments below or call the Orphans hotline. The link is right there, and so is the code. That's all you should have. I was testing it on my cell phone earlier. It worked, but I wasn't able to test it live. So I'm really curious. I want somebody, come on. You guys paid for this. I didn't buy that piece of equipment. I crowdfunded it through you guys. So you guys need to use the tool you bought. Come on, man. Come on.
So for some levity, we got 3 funny comments about Star Wars. Trevor Benson says the Star Wars, that's our new national anthem. Bacon Slayer says, hello there, in Obi-Kenobi voice. And Bacon Slayer says, I sense a great disturbance in the Force, aka in Canada.
You know, man, my father-in-law taught my son to do high fives. So, like, he's 9 months old and he asks random people as we're in the store to do high fives. But every time he does it, he looks like a Jedi. You know, he's trying to control. He's like this, and he's just pointing, and it's working because we all go to him to do the high five, so he's attracting us. But that is exactly what I think about. Like, what you guys are talking about now is just, maybe he's trying to fix things with his little hands, already understanding that we have a problem. Maybe a Jedi is the answer. Maybe.
Maybe your son will be the savior of Canada.
The Jedi we need.
Yeah, the Jedi we need, not the one we deserve, but we need them.
Yeah, the one we need.
Kate Thompson has a very serious comment. Now we will become part of the EU. My grandfather is rolling in his grave. He was a POW for 2 years in World War II. He did fight for this. Did not fight for this, I'm assuming.
I saw the comment earlier. I don't even know how to address this outside of I really feel bad for the vets that fought in World War II because most of them are dead now, right? Because the war ended in 1945. So even if you were, let's say, 18 years old, that means you were born in 28. Unless you're almost 100. Yes! Oh, Don Valiant is calling. That guy helped us. So let's take our first call, see if that works. Bang, bang. Don, can you hear me? Hello, Don.
Oh, there we go, Nico.
I can see some movement. Can you hear anything?
I
I can hear you. That's all I can
Oh,
see.
hold on. I can't hear him.
I can hear him.
Hold on. That's probably me.
We have confirmation that the audience can hear as well.
I can't see the stream at the same time.
Man, why can I not hear him?
Oh,
he's complaining right now that he can hear you, but he can't see the stream at the same time.
He can't see the stream. Oh, yeah, because he's probably doing it off of his cell phone, right?
Do you want him to ask the question and I'll relay it to you?
Go for it. It's not necessarily a question. It's all about comments. I want people to have a place where they can say what's on their mind. If they have a question for me, that's great. If they just have a comment, that's also great. But it really drives me nuts that I can't hear him.
Why don't you go ahead and ask your question or make your comment, and I'll repeat it for Nico. Did we lose him?
Hold on. No, it says that he's connected. Don? Hey Don, try calling back if you can hear us, because I'm not seeing any activity. Oh no, see there you go, it just hung up. So you guys could hear him.
I could, and one person in the audience could as well.
Yeah, guys, if you could confirm that you could hear him to make sure. Because that is definitely cool. Yeah, so Don's calling again. Let's try that again. Let's try that a second time. Don, can you hear us?
Oh, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Nothing, eh? I got an internal error. Not good.
Serena says she can hear him as well.
Perfect. So just take his comment and I'll try to figure out at the same time what's going on.
Can you hear me?
All good.
I don't think he can hear me.
We tried.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's technical difficulties. We should have tested this.
No, there's no way to test it unless we're live. That's the problem. Or else I would have tested it before. But I wanted something that was off our network to test it out.
Nightmare
yeah,
says he can hear him. Nightmare, why don't you call in and we'll test it out with you as well?
Yeah, but I don't think it's I can hear him. I heard him. I can hear him. Yeah, there's like at least 10 people that are saying that they can. I tried entering the site, won't go through. Yeah, that's one thing, Cap. If right now there's only one line at a time. So if somebody's already on the line, it's not going to work out. There's ways. I just need to purchase the service and you can get like 3 lines. It's very cool. I just need to figure it out. Yeah, I just need to figure out. Just a note. When I went to call a second time, It said that there was an internal error. Yeah, like I said, Stones, I think it's because there's only one line. So if somebody's already on the line, it's the internet way of saying that the line's busy. It's busy.
Do you? Should we continue with the questions, I guess?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Here's a funny one from Eva Chase. Is a spaceship going to land there, Nico? Asking for a friend.
Yeah, of course it is. No, that's just, there's just so much money you can send to Ukraine. You have to find other ways to slush fund your Canadian taxpayers' money, and that's all that is. It's just a slush fund that we just happen to catch. And the fact that they're going in camera, they're removing recordings and preventing us from hearing about it, that means they have something to hide, right? This is a no-brainer. It doesn't take a brain surgeon, as they say, to figure this one out. That's pretty obvious that there's never going to be anything landing there outside of our money.
Let's see if we can get a new comment from someone new. Ivermectin says we need to stop calling Pierre Poilievre followers conservatives. They are not.
That's why every single time I say conservative, there's air quotes, because they're not conservatives at all whatsoever. That's the difference between big C conservatives and small C conservatives. They are not conservatives. And the funny part is that ivermectin is, you're not even wrong. I was watching, that's a big word. I saw a reel of Jasmine Lane, arguably the biggest so-called conservative in Canada. And she was even admitting herself that the Conservative Party are not conservatives. They're liberals. Like even her was admitting that we don't have conservatives in Canada. So it's just a name. It could be anything else. Oh wow, this is good. I should have used this before. The conservatives are to politics what transgenders are to feminine women, to women. They say there's something, but if you start digging, you notice that there's a penis.
You find it funny if you ask them what a conservative was and they couldn't answer.
That's a question I have for a lot of the guys out there, because that is something that I've asked people quite often. Oh, hold on. We got another call. Let's see if that works. Well, hello. That's a question I have for a lot of the guys out there, because that is something that I've asked people quite often.
Was that just your feedback?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, ma'am. Can you hear me? Was that just your feedback?
Hi, can you hear me?
It's funny. I can hear her. You can't. You can hear me.
There's a delay.
And she probably can hear me, but I can't hear her.
It's funny. And there's a delay to make it worse. You can hear me.
There's a delay.
She probably can hear me.
And we're getting feedback. I can hear what I said from the past.
There's a delay and it repeats.
Yeah. There's a delay and it repeats. I agree. I don't know, Nico. I don't think she can hear me. You can't hear her.
If there's a feedback, it's probably that she is speaking on speakerphone, and our sound is going through at the same time, so it creates a loop. Because if I muted myself and it was coming from my end, it should have stopped, but it didn't stop. As per I'm judging by you guys' face, because again, I can't hear anything.
Do you know what I think it is? I have a delay on the stream by maybe 10 seconds.
That's probably what it is. She says she has a delay on the stream. I guess, unfortunately, it's not going to work this time, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I need to figure it out. I apologize, guys. I tried it out earlier, and it seemed to be. At least I was able to call and hear myself. But it seems like it's not getting patched through StreamYard, so I need to figure it out. So my apologies, guys, but we'll figure it out. As in, we will figure it out. I will figure it out.
Yeah, trial and
I
error.
always say we. There's no we. It's just fucking me. don't know why
I say we all the time.
That's the same with me. I'm lonely. I talk to myself.
So I
apologize, whoever's on the phone right now. I'm going to disconnect the call, but I will try back tomorrow
to see if it's working. But if there was an echo, it's probably because my voice is going out of her speakers and coming back in her microphone. So it creates a nice echo. But my apologies to whoever I just hung up on. And we'll try again tomorrow. So if you have a couple more comments you want to take, I will have to test this out again and figure it out.
Here's a comment from the Think 49. I don't care about being called conservatives. I just want small government and to be left alone to produce and benefit from my efforts.
That's, do your thing, do ya thing. It's not about being called a conservative. I just use that because those are terms that regular people that are not necessarily involved in politics will somewhat understand. But at the end of the day, I don't consider myself a conservative either. I'm more of a libertarian than anything else, but I'm a Christian. So if I consider myself something, I consider myself a Christian. But automatically, that normally makes me a conservative because my values are more traditional. That's what a conservative is. So it is not a political party. When I use the terms being a liberal or being a conservative is not about politics right now. It's just about ideology. And if you believe in small governments, if you believe in the right of the individual, if you believe that the individual is more important than the group, you are normally more conservative in nature, because just the way policies are implemented between the left and the right, between the liberals and the conservative, and again, I'm talking about ideologies, not parties right now. If you are a liberal in ideology, you normally use the top-down approach. You force the population into submission through laws. A more conservative approach is to build the individuals to have the values to be a better man, to do the right thing for their society, but understand that we are just a bunch of people that chooses to live under the same rule. That is all a society is. So how do you change a society is normally how you can see what type of political policies you're under or ideology you're under, but you're in shit when the liberals and the conservatives are for big government, because that's what we're seeing today.
So we're coming up on 1 hour, but there's a really good comment from Lori Godet. Do you have time?
Yeah, man.
Lori says, you're talking about the progressive conservatives, like the provincial conservatives in Ontario, Nova Scotia, and even New Brunswick, which were created to be further left in an attempt to gain votes, but like O'Toole, this got them nowhere.
You're absolutely right. The whole, you kind of addressed it earlier, Payman. You kind of touched on this, where any conservative, and this is such a misnomer. You should never be able to call a conservative a progressive, because that's the definition of a liberal. This is how ironic that term, like progressive conservative, makes no sense. It makes zero sense. You cannot be a conservative and be progressive at the same time. Those are two opposites. It does not work. It's an oxymoron. So yes, progressive conservatives are just liberals. And unfortunately, we got there. You can either choose to believe that it is, like me, bread and circuses for the masses, or the second reason why we got there is because we got further and further left since the 60s, as you mentioned earlier, and our parties are just trying to cater to the left instead of catering to the conservatives. Because we see this in the Democrats in the US, how they treat the black population. The Democrats will always cater they catered to the black populations for a very long time. Now that they have them, they don't care anymore. If you notice, they don't care about the black population because they know that they're going to vote for them. They're not going to go vote for the Republican. At least the vast majority of them will not. And this is what we're seeing today. The conservatives know that they have the conservative vote because there's no other option, really. So the conservatives keep on voting. The real conservatives keep on voting for the Conservative Party because they will never vote for the liberals. So the conservative, in order to gain more votes, automatically has to go more left in order to attract lefties to join their parties. So they don't care about the real conservatives of Canada because they assume that they will get their votes no matter what because they have nowhere else to go. Just like the black population in the US will always vote Democrat in the vast majority because they have nowhere else to go.
Yeah, and we drift leftwards. Join us next week. We'll see how far we've drifted left.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. On that note, guys, we're 1 minute past the hour. Thank you for being here. Oh, hold on. Let me address this. Cindy Melnick is saying, hey, Nico, I sent you a reminder about Chris Guy. Just wondering if you received it. Yeah, I got it. I just need to find a way to contact him. It's not because I know his social media that he's going to necessarily get back to me. So it's always a fun times to get people with a big audience to come on the show. So yeah, Trevor said that's what I was saying. I don't know if he's a goof or not. I don't know him enough to know. All I know is what he was talking about during COVID. But I know that he's in Mexico. For some reason, he popped on my feed the other day on somebody else's post, and that's what he seemed to look he was in Mexico. So on that note, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday, choosing to spend this hour with us. Thank you for the comments. Make sure you like the stream. Make sure you comment. Make sure that you share this stream. But above all, we want to see you again. We want to see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And hopefully, I will fix this problem so that you guys can call in and we can have a voice-to-voice conversation like intended. So until then, have a good night and